From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's the At Home Show podcast edition. Let's get into this week's show.
Hey, y'all. It is Caroline here, and we are coming on to talk about our broadcast from Saturday, August 19th. We had some fun subjects. We talked a lot about lawns, but my favorite thing I got to hear was Austin's What's in Bloom, which was quite lively. I loved every moment.
At the very end of the show, and I had to go real fast because I was running out of time, and I slipped up, and I was trying to talk about Rose of Sharon, and I called it Raise of Sharon.
And I can't wait for you guys to hear that. You also kind of insulted me, but...
I mean, you're trying to say that... So the whole thing is Caroline's trying to say that marigolds are better than petunias, which is just ridiculous.
Y'all write in and you tell us which ones you like better.
Marigolds just don't do it for me.
They're clean. They're fun to deadhead.
I did give you that. They
Thank
are
you.
fun to deadhead. They pop off when you do it, and they make a little noise. I do like that. But they
pop
don't come
off
anywhere
like
near
your
petunias.
attitude this morning.
Well, you can't beat a petunia. If you don't know, now you do. Petunias are my favorite flower.
Well, you know, there's floppy and wimpy, and then there's upright and bushy and golden.
So are you calling petunias floppy and wimpy and marigolds upright?
Maybe.
Maybe someone doesn't know how to grow petunias.
Maybe somebody doesn't need a challenge like petunias.
Well, if you guys listen in to the rest of our broadcast, you will hear Austin talk about that during What's in Bloom.
One of my favorite segments. We also talked about fertilizing roses, which is something you certainly have to do a lot of because they're roses.
And only a certain time of year. So Austin will let you in on that little key fact, when to do it and when to not.
Yep. We talked about our lawns here in Middle Tennessee and if they're all grass or not, which is not. They're almost always very weedy, and we talk about that.
Yes, and I say a yard is a salad provided by the earth.
Yep,
I didn't get that in on the show.
But we are
Should've.
gonna trademark that because that is perfection, and that is what yards should be, a salad of the earth.
And they typically are here, unless you want to spend a lot of money. So we did do that. We certainly still talked about hydrangeas, y'all. Still a hot topic here. We talked about Tyler's peach tree that is non-existent anymore because he cut it down.
I had to join the fun with your non-existent boxwoods.
You did. Thanks for that.
Dead things all around. Well,
So-
just know you can tune in live on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time, or you can stream later at your own viewing pleasure. But follow the At Home Show, Instagram, Facebook, watch us on YouTube and Vimeo, and enjoy our little wrap-up from Saturday, August 19th.
And let me know which one's better, marigolds or petunias. We'll take a vote.
And you know what is
What?
also in this room?
What's in the
A
room?
lot of questions.
Yes.
Y'all, are we ready for them?
Okay.
I would
We
say
are
so.
ready.
I think we're ready.
Go.
New to the state. Welcome to Tennessee. What
Welcome.
a great place to be. And I have two questions. First question, how do I grow grass in the lovely Tennessee clay? And secondly, how do I dig a hole?
Where are they from?
It
they
does not say.
Oh, okay.
Well,
But they live here
Okay.
now. So what do you do with that clay soil?
to be quite honest with you, you don't have to do much for grass to grow. Okay. Now, whether it's the grass you want or not is different. So the turf grass here that we can grow, typically Bermuda, fescue, that old Kentucky 31.
K31, baby. Yeah.
Gotta have it. But it's really not all that hard to grow grass here. Grass really kind of grows without you having to do anything. But also other broadleaf weeds grow as well. So like, say my lawn, for instance, is probably like 40% clover, 20% crabgrass, 20% fescue, 20% Bermuda. And I hope that added up to 100.
You know,
But
I don't think anyone was counting, so keep
Okay,
talking.
good,
Let
good.
everyone forget just in case you were wrong.
if you want a perfectly manicured green lawn that's all the same type of grass, then there's certainly work you have to do to deal with that. You got to weed and feed pretty much every single spring and fall to get those broadleaf weeds out of there. Like I was saying, like the clover and the crabgrass, all that stuff.
Creeping Charlie.
Creeping Charlie, really wild violets. I mean, there's
Yes.
all sorts of weeds that get in our lawns. Now,
But some of them are kind of pretty.
Yes,
They are.
I like mine. I
And
like
really-
my weedy lawn.
to be honest with you, 98% of us have weedy lawns, okay? But after you cut them, they look just like grass. So that's, it's up to you if you want to. You have to spend a lot of money to maintain a really nice lawn.
I personally believe that the days of people obsessing, where a great many people obsess about having a monoculture type of turf grass where they have only one kind of grass, they have no weeds at all. From an environmental standpoint, the amount of chemicals that is required to keep it looking that way just isn't worth it for most people. And we stopped trying to do that probably a decade ago because and you're right, if you just keep it fertilized and mowed, whatever happens to be there tends to look pretty good.
Yeah, it just looks green. It's a green lawn. That's Middle Tennessee for you.
Yeah.
I do know a place in Old Hickory where there, at least up until a few years ago, there was a living yard of it. So
Wow.
So
You know,
don't know if it's still, I
zoysias.
need to go over there and look at some point.
But you're right, Austin. I mean, the amount of, you have to have good equipment or a good service that's going to take care of you. And if you do Bermuda and you like to have landscaping around, you're going to have Bermuda in your landscaping. I still use some chemicals, but not nearly what we once did, you know. And even the fertilizers that we use are basically organically based as much more so than the chemical stuff that, you know, the stuff that used to go out there.
Yeah, which is a good way to go.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a portion of our yard that I think we're going to dedicate to clover, though, Austin.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a little area where the puppies used to live that don't live anymore, but that's okay.
Well, hey.
But I think it's going to be great.
Bring in them bees. The bees love the clover. You got a
They
vegetable
do.
garden, you got a little patch of clover, you're going to see it's just there's a hum inside that clover when it's in bloom. The bees just love it. So
I love it.
I mean, certainly, good
The
way
bees
to go.
and Tyler love it. Yes. I let my lawn go wild. It is
Right.
crazy at my house. But let's get to the second
Sure.
part of this question, shall we? So they're asking the best way to dig a hole.
Best way to
How
dig
do you
a hole.
do it?
Use a shovel.
Dug a
Use a
lot of
shovel.
holes. Yep. You got to get a shovel. You got to do
You
some
do.
work.
That's where you start. Can't do it with your hands if you're going to dig a big one.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just work. At the end of the day, it's just work.
Now, a lot
And
of
if you're
times,
going to
go ahead.
dig quite a few holes, it really pays to invest in a better shovel. Don't just buy one of the
Absolutely.
Yes,
LP
it does.
That's a
Pros.
great point.
They are, they're really not much more than just a placekeeper until you break it, and then you buy a good one. So you might as well go ahead and buy a decent shovel on the front end
And take
That way
care
you
of
can
it.
sharpen it, and remember, a shovel is not a pry bar. And this is a
Nope.
mistake that is most commonly made with people. They break the handles out of them and then they throw them away. If you have a pickaxe, grubbing hoe, mattocks, whatever you want to call it, something to get rocks and roots and that kind of thing dealt with, don't use the shovel to pry it out. I mean,
pound.
people really tend to over leverage the ability of the shovel hand.
Now,
Literally.
and I also pre-water a little bit.
Okay.
I moisten the
That
ground.
That is,
idea.
I do that as well. Yes, or I will try to do it after we get a fairly significant
Yep.
amount of rain. So this year has actually been really easy to plant. I've been planting all the time. I've been digging so many holes, y'all. It's been crazy. But let's stay on the lawn topic for
Okay.
just a moment. Now, this is something that I love to see in my lawn. I think they're really cute. It's a nice color, but we do have a question about wild strawberries. I have wild strawberries in my lawn. Should I spray with Roundup now to try to kill them before overseeding this fall?
I mean, if you want to,
Spot spray and have spots in your grass, you will do that.
you will have that. Yeah. I mean, if you can hand pull them, that'll just go ahead and get rid of them. I mean, without having to use chemicals. But if you want to do that and that's the route you choose to go, then yeah, I mean, now's the time to do it. Get it ready to go, because if you want to, overseed, we got to have that patch clear. The thing is, whenever you spray Roundup, and this is my thing, is like, I will spray Roundup sometimes if I have to, if my weeds have gotten out of control, especially those cool season weeds in the early part of the game. But when you spray Roundup, they turn brown, but they stay there. They don't
Yep.
just go away. So you still almost have to pull them out. Now, they're easier to pull, don't get me wrong. Whenever they're dead, you can just kind of take them right out, without having to pull any roots or anything. But if you're going to have to pull them anyway, then why not just pull them when they're green? Like I said, it's a little bit harder, but you don't have to use the Roundup. You don't have to spray and be careful. You need to be careful when you're spraying Roundup. That stuff can kill a lot of things.
I'm terrified of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to use. The reason I said early in the spring I use it is because those cool season weeds really fill my bed kind of early in the spring. And this is before I've really got all my stuff swelling up and getting big and turning green, and me planting annuals in the bed to kind of fill it up. Like at this stage in the game, I can't barely spray Roundup because my bed is so full that I don't want to get Roundup anywhere near my plants that are in the bed. So, just be careful with it. Just be
and
responsible.
the other side of it is that I contend there's more money wasted on grass seed and they properly or improperly putting the seed down in that no one would take tomato seeds, for instance, and just broadcast them on the hard ground and expect tomato plants to come up.
Really?
But they deal with grass seed all the time, thinking that the results are going to somehow be different. You need to do some level of cultivation or aeration. And if you're going to reestablish an entire lawn area and you're going to tilt it off, then you're going to remove all that vegetative top anyway. They're not going to be a problem. The strawberries this fall, they're not going to come back substantially enough. So, at least aerate really thoroughly to the point where the ground looks like it has been just destroyed.
Yep.
That's the way it should look. And then broadcast your seed. And then if you drag a pallet or take the rake with the teeth turned up and break those little pores of earth that have pulled out with the aerator all around, then you'll get a nice job and you'll have a reasonable chance of success. If you just put the seed down on hard ground, you're going to mostly get seed that'll sprout. And if it does sprout, it's going to die at the first time it gets dry. So there's no opportunity for the soil for the roots to make contact with the soil and get established.
While we're on the lawn topic, I do want to say, a couple of years ago, our mower broke, and we have a lot of acres, so we were using a push mower, and we decided not to mow everything, and we just let a pretty big area of our yard grow up. And watching all of these, I don't know what kind of birds they were really tiny and adorable, and all the pollinators come in, and just the things that came up that I didn't realize were growing in our lawn once you gave it time to grow up were pretty magical. So lawns can be fun.
You know what? You just reminded me of something.
Nice.
You know what's amazing is those little gold finches.
I have them all over my garden right now where I've let it go crazy.
They can be on a weed of a stem that's like as tiny as you could imagine. I mean, you could flick it and it would break or something, but a little finch can sit on it.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's like the lightest.
They're dainty little birds.
They're dainty.
Wait until you get the indigo buntings. They're the little ones that look like little jewels across the grass.
They are spectacular.
You can observe them at Peeler Park in Nashville.
Yep.
I've seen them there.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
That's
usually
amazing
come
to me.
Yep.
Birds are cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about peach trees. I know Tyler has one that we have done some videos on. He knows all about. Did. Is it gone?
She's gone.
Oh, wow. Well,
it's with
Tyler,
Austin's Boxwoods.
Here we go.
R.I.P.
Actually, at least my
There
tree's
it is.
gone.
Shut up, Tyler.
All right.
I'm not
y'all
ready to
are
get rid
fighting.
of 'em yet.
I'm sitting in the middle of this. I'm going to ask the question. Y'all are fighting over my head. Is there a variety of peach tree that doesn't require spraying for bugs that can grow in Middle Tennessee? Did you get rid of yours because you had to spray a lot of stuff?
No, it was messy when the fruit basically
Fell off hit the ground.
But it was like immature fruit, so you would get a lot of like small, tiny pits.
Oh, those little bitty
all
pits.
over. And so it was messy in that way. Okay, so I have like a smaller backyard, and this tree got this is a dwarf tree, and some people don't know that dwarf trees get huge still.
Dwarf is relative.
12 feet tall,
Yes, it is.
12 by 12 or 15 by 15. I mean,
So it was actually a troll. It wasn't a dwarf.
you have to constantly really prune it back if you truly want it to be smaller. And and I had issues every year. I feel like no matter what peach you'll plant, you will get these worms in your peaches if you don't spray.
Oh, 100%.
And you will get fungal issues on the outside, largely affecting the appearance of it, but the quality of the fruit is still excellent. You just have to be willing to live with those issues or spray like crazy. And I chose to live with it. I got 2 years of really, really good peaches from it. So
Or take a bite out of a worm every now and then.
I just recommend you
Did
cut
not
your
do that.
peaches first. If you want to be an organic peach grower, cut those peaches before you eat them, because David's right. You might bite into a worm.
Yeah, because you know what? The
would
worse than
die.
finding a worm in your in your peach, Austin?
What?
Finding half a worm in your peach.
The At Home Show is brought to you by EarthMix Garden Products, creating high-quality, sustainable soil blends and amendments in the Southeast. It's hot and your plants need some mulch. Why not use Fines by EarthMix? Their finely shredded pine bark mulch offers unmatched moisture control and fantastic texture in your garden. Not only a great mulch, but an excellent soil conditioner to assist with drainage in beds and containers. Visit earthmix.net for more information and a list of retailers near you. Remember, success begins at the ground level when you choose EarthMix Garden Products.
Earth mix.
There you go, Josh.
Plants, sunshine, water. That's all you need.
One of the best containers that I have right now has been amended. Well, the bottom has been added with EarthMix Fines, lined along the bottom, so that's finely shredded pine bark mulch. And then I mixed in a little bit of landscape as well for my lime tree. It's great.
Ooh, how's your lime tree doing? I know you had aphids on it. Was that it?
Spider mites.
Spider mite.
Cut it back. It reflushed. It's doing great. That pot up specifically this year has done the best as far as moisture. I've not gotten any leaf wilting or anything like that.
Nice.
Lovely.
Awesome. Let's get back to questions. What
Let's do it. We got a really fun question that I'm going to ask everybody, but I think it's aimed primarily towards Austin.
One of his groupies again?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Switchgrass is money, but there are so many varieties. Which is the most money for your money?
Okay, so this is a good question, actually, for your money. First off, don't ever buy anything bigger than a 1 gallon grass. Okay, y'all? Now, I'm going to tell you why. Grasses, no matter if they're in a 5 gallon or if they're in a 1 gallon, they're going to get to the same size, height-wise, every year from the ground up. All grasses grow from the roots and push new growth every single year from the ground. So they're going to get up and they're going to get just as tall. 1 gallon will get just as tall as a 5 gallon. Whenever I planted my grasses, I planted them in a 1 gallon pot and they weren't even showing any grass. I mean, like they were dormant. They didn't even have anything in the pot. So I just planted a pot of dirt pretty much is what it looked like. And then, a couple weeks later, whenever spring happened, they started to grow. And like I said, they got to just the same size as a 5 gallon. So don't spend a lot of money on grasses. That's the first thing. Buy them small. And then the second thing is which varieties. There's a lot of good varieties out there, okay? I'm into Northwind. We've all talked about this. The fall color is fantastic on Northwind. It stays very, very green. But there are other varieties that are different. Like they get a little bit purple. They get a little bit red. Some of those varieties are really cool, too. There's one, if you want a really tall one, it's called Totem Pole. It's the tallest switchgrass on the market.
I planted that this year.
It's fantastic. It's got a bluish color to the leaves.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Bluish. How cool
I
is
believe we had
that?
those in studio a week or two ago.
Absolutely,
We
we
did.
did. We had them in the corners 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh. And they get literally like 6 feet tall.
Ben
Wow.
Crest, one of our landscape specialists here at the nursery, is a big fan of that one.
It's a good one. It really is a good one. Really tall and beautiful. So really going with any of the switchgrasses. They're all native around here. They can take water. If you need some erosion control using the switchgrass, all of them are money.
All right, but let's get to this question. A 115 heat index is predicted. Any advice for gardens lulled into a false sense of security?
I don't know that they're actually being lulled.
Are they lulled yet?
No.
I mean, there's nothing we can really do to change the weather, okay? Plants are going to do what they do based on it. I mean, they've seen this before. Plants are stronger than us, very much so. And they're durable and resilient. They can handle these things, usually. Now, I've thought about this extensively over the past couple days, whereas this past week I thought to myself, why would I not set out my cool season veggies? Like, it's time. It's time to get them out. Like, the night temps have been nice. The day temps have been nice. But then, hear the weather this morning for next week, and we're seeing close to 100 degrees. I'm like, okay, maybe not. Middle Tennessee is just
Wild.
day to day. You don't know. And if you've got your cool season veggies already set out, if you've got some that are going, you kind of, you're taking the chance there. Now, the only reason, it's not that the hot weather is going to kill your plants. That's not what's going on. What's going on is that young plants will want to, when they feel these hot temps, they'll want to send up a flower spike. This is what we call bolting. And when they do that, they stop producing leaves all that much. They just want to direct their energy towards flowers and seeds. Yeah. So that's what we want to avoid with our cool season veggies. So I think I'm going to wait probably a week to set out some of them cool season veg because it's next week's crazy.
Guys. Have you been wondering where our hydrangea questions are? Because they're right here. All right. Blooms dying on hydrangeas and droopy leaves. What's happening?
The classic reason for that typically is an underwater scenario. Hydrangeas are very thirsty creatures, so if it's being underwatered, if it's a new plant, that may be what's going on. I've noticed too with panicle hydrangeas, if that's what we're talking about, or really any hydrangea, is that when they transplant in the summer, they really have stress, I guess I would say. I mean, it's hard to get the water just right, and they naturally kind of stress a little bit, and they'll even drop some interior yellowing leaves that'll happen in the dead of the summer. Usually not a plant killer or anything, but it's a little bit stressful on them. Now, I will say, too, sometimes people can break, just a tiny break in a stem down below whenever you're planting it. It can change the look of that plant. So make sure you're not, physically breaking any of the stems.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose. It just, it can just happen sometimes when you plant them. And if it's like if most of your plant looks good and you've got one limb that's droopy or looking off, it literally could have just been physically broken, whether that be in transit from the nursery to your home or while you were planting it. That can happen, and that just needs to be removed if that did occur. So that's the best I got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things to be mindful of with respect to hydrangeas as a family is that they all share this common trait of not being able to bring moisture up as fast as they are able to transpire it. That is, their turgor pressure, Terger, that's the pressure that's inside the stems and the leaves.
Ooh.
When that water comes up from the root system through the stems and into the leaves, there's a pressure that keeps the foliage up. They can actually have plenty adequate moisture in the soil, and they simply droop because it's hot. They're transpiring the moisture off faster than they can bring it up. They're not sweating, Josh.
Yeah, they are.
Transpiration is where it goes straight from a liquid to a gas. It skips. It just, you don't ever see it. It's just vapor that's going out into the air. So because of that, you can just water them right away.
Sweat.
They won't, until the day cools down a little bit, they won't stand back up. So it could be that also.
Hey, quickly, we've got a question on the YouTube channel. And thank you for watching, Nina. When to stop using liquid fertilizer around roses?
We're getting to the point where you need to slow that down. This is probably about the last application you want to do, because what we don't want to do is force a lot of tender growth on a rose late in the season. We're getting into the season where roses are going to have a very good bloom flush. Okay, they really like the cool night temps. After next week, next week we're talking hundreds. Probably not going to throw much, in that. But after that, if we start getting into that night temps down into the high 50s, 60s, day temps only in the 80s, roses really, really respond to that. So we don't want to put much energy into producing more leaves at the moment. Like I said, right now would be about the last time we want to do that. Get one more flush of leaves, and then we'll hope for a really, really nice bloom period in the fall, which is really in Middle Tennessee. The early spring and the fall is really when we get the best blooms on our roses.
You think it's the blue liquid that she's using?
That old blue water, probably.
Yeah, now the saving grace of using a liquid type fertilizer is that it releases quickly and doesn't last very long.
No.
So even if you did, it's going to flash out there pretty fast, and then it's going to be gone. So,
and you may ask, why? Who cares if I have tender new growth or if I have old growth? The frost is coming, the freeze is coming, winter's coming. It's going to whack back my foliage anyway. What do I care if it's new and tender? Well, the reason you care about that is because new and tender leaves is also new and tender stems, and that freeze that will occur will damage the topmost part of that plant more significantly than what you want. So that's the whole reason for
you
that.
end up cutting
You
it
want some
back,
hardy, good green canes on your roses. We don't want tender stuff whenever freeze happens.
Additional support for the At Home Show is brought to you by Bates Nursery, a third-generation garden center located in Nashville, Tennessee, offering the widest selection of plants and gardening supplies from large trees to houseplants, from seeds to soil. Their knowledgeable staff will assist you with all your gardening needs. Open year-round, minutes from the heart of Nashville and beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. Browse their selection online anytime at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
That's
What are good hydrangeas for a front patio not too large?
Okay, there's definitely some not too large hydrangeas out there, but I need to know your sun. A front patio typically doesn't have like a blasting sun environment, so I'm going to go with that. We're going to say it's a part shade or even shade. So let's go with a macrophylla hydrangea. This is one that we all kind of think of probably first as those round blue blooms or pink blooms typically, or purple, somewhere in between. This is depending on your pH. But these are common to grow in a container, and they're actually good to grow in a container, especially if they've got some of that shade. So giving them some protection over the wintertime is going to be crucial. You know, all hydrangeas are going to lose their leaves over the winter, and hydrangeas don't look great over the winter. Ain't going to sugarcoat it. They look like dead sticks.
Put some boxwoods in front.
Or just use it as an annual. I mean, you can buy, you can buy a plant for $30, throw it in a pot for the season, and just expect it for the season. If you buy it in the spring.
You are wild.
What?
And then
I like macrophyllas in pots. I think they're cute.
they are cute in pots. Yes,
Uh-huh.
I have some in the ground, not in pots. Mine in the ground did not bloom this year.
So what you can do, what I was saying, is just buy it in the spring when it already has its leaves flushed out, past the problem of frost, and then you've got your blooms for the summer. Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay?
Lovely.
Cut them, bring them in the house.
So, guys, our next question, I was excited when it came in because not a lot of people know about this plant. This person has had a Euphorbia drupifera for 3 years. They're asking how to repot. So if you're like, what is that? So there's a lot of different types of euphorbia out there. I mean, poinsettias are. In my world, it's primarily what looks like a cactus. So they're not a true cactus, just they look like one. This one is a really cool, almost tree-form cactus. You kind of have to see it to know what I'm talking about. But in order to repot it, as I do with most cacti, most succulents, you're going to want to have a good draining, well-draining soil mix. I usually make my own. I find that cactus mix a lot of the time is heavy with peat moss, which I don't love. So what I like to do is use our Earth Mix Proganics the indoor soil mix. I'll add a little bit of perlite, pine fines, and sometimes I will add a little bit of sand. They like it, but you don't do too much because it can compact the soil and get a little too heavy. And then with this plant in particular, and with a lot of cacti, if you're going to repot some more columnar cactus, you're going to want to wrap the base of this plant with styrofoam. I use pool noodles that I will cut a big slit down the side, get the ones with the holes in them. So you can wrap it around that to pull it up because you're going to hurt your hands. Lay it on its side, get that plant out, go ahead and have a pot that's a little bit bigger, put your soil in the bottom, put it in there, take the styrofoam, take the pool noodle off, and you will be ready to go.
Greg in Corinth, Mississippi wants
Hey, Greg.
to know, can creeping phlox be easily contained to an area? If so, how?
Yes, actually, it's not that creeping phlox is not all that hard to control. It's a slow creeper, so it can live for years. I mean, 25, 30 years. I mean, they can be old, a long-lived perennial. Excellent plant, if you ask me. I mean, I'm old school when it comes. I just want stuff to live without me having to do much, and that is certainly creeping phlox. If it does get out of bounds with you, literally just cut it. I mean, just tidy it. You can tighten it. You can even, as the years go on, and if it gets too big, and you really just want to chop it, literally chop it at the top of the crown of the plant and let new stuff form, and it'll slowly form.
Start over?
And start over.
Yeah.
Give it a restart. I mean, tons of plants are great with that.
Or if it gets outside of the edge of the bed area, you can just cut straight down and cut a chunk out of it.
Yeah.
And retransplant that to some other location if you like. So it's very, very manageable because it is a slow grower. But when it gets established, it's spectacular in the spring.
I agree.
Speaking of blooms.
Blooms.
Oh, gosh.
What's in bloom? With Austin.
Okay, here we go. Same old stuff, pretty much. When it comes to trees, mimosa, crepe myrtle, rose of Sharon, all of those.
Rays of Sharon.
Rays of Sharon are growing. regular hibiscus, perennial hibiscus, big dinner plate blooms, blooming, looking great, still good. You know what's a new one, actually, I'll give you, is Sweet Autumn Clematis. Okay? We don't really sell that one too much anymore. We'll special order it for you if you want it. It's a little bit invasive, not going to lie. It can kind of spread from seed a little bit, but it's still a beautiful vine. If you've got it, you've had it forever probably, and it's the white blooming vines that are on people's either mailbox or like their porch, whatever, going crazy right now. Shasta Daisy's still blooming, just about done though. Verbena bonariensis, what a great little plant. You ought to grow that one. It gets very tall. I put mine in the shade, and it is like stupid tall. It's like 5 feet tall, no joke. Anyway, just a little tangent I wanted to get on. Soybeans are money this year. Fantastic. We've just great weather with a lot of rainfall, and soybeans are beefy. Y'all, look at them soybean fields. They're beefy, okay? I love them.
I drove past one this morning. Or probably like
and
12 this morning.
You saw the beef.
I saw the beef. That's correct. I looked out my window and said, wow, look at that
Man,
beef.
look at them beefy.
Man, but I got to get to work.
And next, petunias are beautiful this year. We've had a cooler summer here in August with plenty of rainfall. No, marigolds are nowhere near petunias. Don't even point at that. Quit. Petunias are great. I love mine. Oh, which one did I go? Misty Lilac.
Oh.
What a name.
Yeah.
Best petunia on the market. Do it. Okay. No, marigolds aren't even there. Panicle hydrangeas still going crazy. Panicle hydrangeas are flopping like crazy this year. They've had so much rainfall. Them panicles are just flopped.
You know what's not flopping on mine?
The ones you cut back that I told you to?
Correct. Yep.
Great. And then at the end, I'm so excited about this, guys. My Incredible hydrangeas, okay? They're all done. Their blooms are spent pretty much. They're starting to go brownish. They don't look all that great, whatever. Well, my daughters decided to pluck a bloom, okay? Whenever it was full show. This was, I don't know, about a month ago. They broke one off and brought it into the house to have as a cut flower. I was cool with it, and I was like, whatever. They broke it off. Well, what happened? 2 new stems formed, and then it produced a bloom. Y'all, Incredible hydrangeas and Annabelle hydrangea types will rebloom if you deadhead them quick.
All righty, folks. Hey, next Saturday morning, I'm coming back, and we'll be in here with Adam and the whole crew and all the at-homies. David, have a good vacay, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Be safe. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios for the At Home Show.